did you see from Stetson in the first half play, and what did you see from him as he orchestrated that touchdown drive?
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. I thought it was good to be able to end with the touchdown drive. Thought he saw the field well. There was a miscommunication on the one interception that he threw. Obviously, he thought that was going to be a different route. And so those are things that happen, and these are great opportunities for us to be able to learn. Thought he made a couple unbelievable throws. You know, he and Davis Allen hooking up on the seam earlier, and then the throw that he made to Xavier was unbelievable. Basically kind of put it right on him as soon as his eyes come back. And so thought it was a great touchdown run for him to be able to finish it off. But he's a young player. He's continuing to learn. It's very regulated with a lot of the things that we're doing. You know, we are very vanilla in regards to some of the different things that we activate during the preseason. That's just kind of our approach. But I thought the overall operation, there were some things that he did a nice job with, and there's always going to be things that we can learn from. So I was pleased with him being able to end with a scoring drive, and there was a lot of good things that led to that.
Speaking specifically of the first half, when some of the guys who will be contributing as starters on your defense were in the game, what did you make? It seemed like some up moments, some down moments.
Yeah, I think it's hard. I mean, because you're still only talking about a couple guys, and we're talking about playing as 11 as one. I thought they had a really sharp drive offensively with their first guys going right down the field, and there were some opportunities. But you know, there's so many different things that were going on that drive in particular. And then to look at, you know, the majority of the guys that you're talking about are on the interior parts of the D line. There's certain things that are always a big factor, but I think you just talk about, you know, each play as its own separate entity, but I don't get too caught up in, you know, the overall big picture. I just want to see guys continue to take steps in the right direction, because it's nowhere near a reflection of what that 11 is going to look like when we go out there and play in Seattle, and that's why these joint practices have meant so much to us.
But you mentioned specifics last week on that interior defensive line. Did you see them take the steps you wanted them to?
I got to be able to look at the film to be able to answer that.
What did you think about the athleticism on the Hummel play?
That was awesome. You know, it was. I thought, you know, they had me on the coach's cam right there. That's like the first time that anything good's happened when I've been on that thing. So it was awesome. He did a great job getting some depth on the drop. We ended up bringing an external blitz right there and went up and snatched it, and to be able to finish it with a touchdown. I thought that was huge to be able to get that momentum, because they definitely had total control of it in the first half, and to be able to see that play unfold the way that it did, and the excitement that the guys had for Jake, and that was awesome. And I thought that was a huge play by Quentin Lake to be able to make the tackle on the kickoff coverage, to be able to pin him deep in the first place.
Aaron went through warm-ups. What was the...
Yeah, he's going to end up, he's got a baby that's due any day, and so he's not going to make the trip to Denver, and so we wanted to make sure that he got kind of his dress rehearsal. So that was the thought process there. A lot of our guys that haven't played in the preseason will go through that next week. Wanted to be able to get that done with him this week.
And then Byron Young didn't play tonight?
Yeah, he was just a little sore. Got a lot of work this week. Felt like that was a decision that I wanted to make.
What'd you make of Davis Allen's debut today?
I was really pleased with him. I thought he did a nice job, Jordan. I thought just that everybody's going to see that he was targeted 8 times, makes 8 catches. I thought he did a nice job being able to run some tough, hard-earned yards, especially when he's catching some underneath throws and being able to fall forward. But I thought he competed well without the ball also. You can see he's got a big catch radius, good soft hands. So I was really pleased with him. And Nick Caley does a really good job with that group, but it was an awesome debut for him.
Was getting him involved that extensively by design with him recently getting back into the mix, or how did that kind of unfold?
I think sometimes it just naturally occurred that way, but there was a conscientious effort on Zach's part to get him going. He was somebody that I know he's been chomping at the bit to be able to get out there, Stu, and to be able to see him get an opportunity to compete tonight. Had a good look in his eye before the game, and it's been good just to be able to get him out here and start to compete, getting comfortable coming out of his stance, hearing the play calls, breaking the huddle, and I was happy for him to do as well as he did tonight.
Can you give us an update on Logan Russ?
I'm not sure what happened with Logan. It looked like he just kind of tweaked his ankle, but I haven't heard from Reggie anything more than that.
And in terms of conscious efforts, that first series when you're going against Crosby and their defensive starters, is there a conscious effort not to put Stetson in harm's way?
I think so. I mean, you know, we had a chance on the 1/3 down that we ended up, you know, we had a chip on him right there where we just kind of came up short against, you know, trying to throw that in cut to Tyler Johnson. But yes, I mean, you were aware of that. I thought on the first play, I thought Ronnie did a nice job again. I thought he's really maximized his opportunities. But there was an awareness of where are some of their guys that are difference makers, as you guys saw during the week of practice as well.
Coach, you mentioned Quentin Lake. He made a couple of plays
Yep.
on special teams. How is he doing?
He's doing a great job. I think he's got the ability to play safety. He's done a nice job being able to play in our dime package, and his versatility, his football instincts and intelligence shows up. And I think he's shown, great toughness in some of those covers. You look at it, he's made a handful of plays in the kickoff coverage unit each of the last couple weeks. He's been really productive as a safety, and I think he's really just getting comfortable. I think people forget he was a guy that worked through a lot of stuff to be able to even get on the field towards the latter part of the year. Always been instinctual, incredibly smart, comes from a great football pedigree. So I've been really pleased with Quentin over the last couple weeks.
You did mention that Quentin had that clutch tackle to pin and had another one, I think, later on too. But tackling overall on that coverage unit for the punts, what was your overall assessment of that?
I think there's been a lot of missed tackles. There's been a lot of situations too where I think you want to give some grace to, all right, would have been the main 11 guys that we've barely been working on that unit that we anticipate covering punts when we play the Seattle Seahawks on the 10th. So I'm not trying to make excuses, but there is some real continuity things that we want to continue to tighten down. But even on the one that we gave up last week, there's some very seamless things that we can correct, and that's where it ends up being the greatest team sport that there is. And it just takes one guy to be able to get out of position. There can be a vertical seam, and 10 guys might have done their job, and if one guy doesn't, that's where big things can happen, especially with some of these explosive returners. A couple of those ones got strung out on the far sideline, so I didn't exactly see it, and I'll probably be better equipped to answer that stuff when we talk tomorrow.
Sean, can you talk about the played offensive line with the pass protection and run blocking tonight?
Yeah, I think it was okay. I thought there were some times where there were some run through backers in the run game that we need to get our eyes up and be ready to come off on some of those backside combinations and do a better job of being able to anticipate maybe some things that are different than what we had seen. But those were very similar looks to what we had gotten during the course of the week. And so those guys do a great job of being able to trigger downhill. I thought we were a little loose on that stuff. It seemed like the protection held up for the most part. We gave up a late TE where 62 ended up coming free, but it seemed like they did a nice job for the most part in some of the protection. And I thought Zach did a good job of calling plays where the ball was coming out of our hand.
Because your scrimmages with the Broncos is closer to the season. Does it stay, that preparation, does it stay at the same level as what you just did with the Raiders, or does it expand?
It stays the same, because you still have a couple weeks. We in our own mind kind of start to shift our focus a little bit towards the season and things like that, but we still want to be able to be present, get a lot out of these opportunities to go Wednesday and Thursday. And you guys know that since we've been here, I've always felt like that's a really beneficial thing. I'm not at all minimizing the importance of these opportunities tonight, but we've taken a very different approach than some other teams take. And so that's where there's a premium on those competitive ops on Wednesdays and Thursdays. This past week on Wednesday and Thursday, next week against the Broncos, because it is such a different group and things that we activate as far as how we approach the preseason games. Okay? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
What was your overall assessment of your game today?
I'd say some good learning opportunities and some, good bounce back. But, there's definitely some moments that, got to improve on.
Sean said there was maybe he thought a miscommunication on that interception.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of describe what happened?
Yeah, that was completely my fault. I thought that he was going to run a different route than he did and anticipated it, and he ran the one that was called, and I threw the one that wasn't and paid for it.
Do you feel like, even though maybe it's not going completely the way you want it to go, it's still starting to slow down a little bit more every time you're out there?
It started to towards the end of it, this game, you know, that's what reps do for you, repetition. You know, Coach McVay says it's the mother of all learning, and, you know, it's hard to disagree with him. You know, there was times tonight where it did slow down for me, and then there's times where, you know, it felt fast out there, and, you know, you try to get the fast times to slow down each and every time you're out there.
What are you able to see when it slows down compared to when it's going fast?
There's this old saying called "see a little, see a lot," and, you know, see a lot, see a little. I guess that's probably what it is. Whenever it slows down, you kind of block out all the details that don't matter, and you see the ones that do. You know, that's kind of the best way I can describe it.
After the interception, you obviously were able to bounce back and lead that 75-yard touchdown scoring drive. Just what allowed you to move past that and ultimately put those
teammates coming up, supporting me. You know, everybody was hitting me on my helmet and saying, you know, we got your back. Let's go get the next one, and you know, lean on them for a little bit, and then when it's your time to make a play, make a play.
The pass to Xavier, the timing route. Can you take us through that play? And
yeah, it was. I mean, they were running man coverage, and he had a seam route, and I saw his release, checked the safety, and just put it there. And while I was in the air, I was like, look. And he did, and it was right there, and he made a heck of a play.
And is that with those kinds of routes where you're just throwing it on time, is that generally what a quarterback is doing? Is like, look, you want the guy has to look.
If he hadn't looked yet, yeah, yeah, definitely.
Stetson, you've kind of been here before, right? When some days are really good days, some days are less so. Even in game, some moments are great, some maybe less so, and you want back. At what point in your previous time in college did you start to feel that you were stacking more good than bad, and how do you kind of go back, return to that perspective of that journey when everything's coming at you so fast at this level?
You know, it's hard to say when exactly it started to slow down. I think it was, you know, a continuous process, and then all of a sudden you're kind of there. And that's, you know, I guess what it'll be like here. You don't really know until you arrive, but, you know, all we can do is take the next step forward, and that's what I try to do each and every play, each and every practice, just continuously getting better. And you know, I think if you do that, continue, then you will get better.
You connected with Davis Allen. You connected with Davis Allen a lot tonight. Just what did you like about the way he played?
I thought he played, you know, outstanding, physical, tough. He made some good catches on some, you know, tough balls that to catch, and you know, he's a big body. He's friendly. You know, I thought it was cool.
Were there any things that you did tonight that you thought you did better than last Saturday night?
Well, I'd say I had to handle some bad moments more than I had to last week. You know, so I don't know if I handled them better than last week, but I had to handle them, and so, you know, that's a learning process in and of itself. You know, which is, it sucks to have to do, but, you know, you got to do it at some point. And you know, the more that has to happen, hopefully it doesn't happen that often, but then you know how to respond, you know, from the bad ones and going on to the good ones.
Have you become aware of the overall level of the NFL defense's talents in your two games? I'm thinking of that play where you rolled out. Are you aware of the fact that, like, you've played against really high-level defenses, but the NFL is the best of the best? Did you think about that? Did you notice that, how fast guys were closing on you, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really something, you know, there's like the quote in Top Gun, if you think you're dead. I mean, it's kind of like that. Like, you got to just see it and know what it looks like, and, you know, they're coming fast. You know, the hashes are closer, so everybody's a little bit tighter. And, you know, 4-3 still 4-3, but everybody's just a little bit smarter and knows how to use that speed and size, I'd say, a little bit more. And, yeah, I mean, that's a, you know, learning curve too.
All set?
Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you.